What is up, FIFA Tiers? Hello and welcome back to the FUT Tiers Podcast. Extra time with myself, LAJS, as well as my two regular co-hosts in Mersgoth and B-Rad. How are we all doing?
It's funny.
Yeah.
For context, Darwin Nunez has just been sent off this very minute by a headbutt.
Yep.
That he's decided to do on, is it Anderson, I think I saw?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, yeah, that's what's just happened to cause that laughter.
Silly boy.
Yeah, I think we'll just start straight into the hot takes, as there is one from a Liverpool fan who knew, who topically says, hot take, Darwin Nunez will outscore, air quote, the Norwegian wannabe Rapunzel by 5 goals. Now,
Wannabe Rapunzel.
Wannabe Rapunzel, yeah, Norwegian wannabe Rapunzel by 5 goals as well. So, with what's 3-match ban, it's gonna be impressive.
Yep.
It's gonna be impressive if he does that.
Yeah, and there's no way it's getting changed. Like, he has literally turned around and headbutted him straight in the face. So
maybe it'll be more than 3. Who knows?
It's 1-1, by the way. Diaz has just scored.
There you go. That's something that's good for you, if I remember rightly.
It is certainly good for me.
I said pre-game that I backed a draw in this game. But yeah, so for that to happen, Girk, then realistically, you're going to need a Haaland injury.
Yeah.
You're going to need a Haaland injury and Nunez to... And I know I defended it last week. To be less immature.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
He just got played. He got played.
He's lost his head.
He's lost his head. It literally, like, so quickly that now future teams, when he's in there, are going to know it. And he's going to have to be very, very, very careful.
Mm-hmm. So, that's a conclusive answer for everything from all of us here. I think you're about to say something, Nunez.
Yeah, Gabby Jesus is going to outscore Nunez. As simple as that. That's what I'm going to say
It's
on that factor.
a good shout.
I mean,
it's a good shout.
It's a good shout from now at this point. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's got if I decide to double down on Sterling now, that would be funny. I don't think I will, though. I'm just gonna leave that in reserve. I don't think I can say that yet.
No.
But now we've got that quick, almost joke one based off timing out the way. We've got a couple of questions from GH and Girk this week. So we'll start off with one that's aimed at each of us individually. So this is GH questions, so just bear that in mind. We'll start off with you, Mers. Would you rather sell Smith Rowe, sign Ravel Morrison, or appoint Gus Poyet as your manager?
Yeah, I'd like to hire Gus Poyet, sack him after like a game, and then just hire somebody else. There you go.
Then Arteta ball's gone.
But I'd just we'd just rehire Arteta after one game. There you go. Didn't stipulate that.
The wrong way. I think you looked at that wrong, but I'll let you go for yours, Brad, which is would you rather sign King Kazu, sell Todd Cantwell, or appoint Harry Redknapp?
Wow, I expected mine to be a Chelsea-based question.
Yeah, so did I, but who knew?
Who knew? Yeah, I mean, what are these questions, honestly? But yeah, we'll go with sign King Kazu because the guy's a legend.
I was about to say shirt sales and popularity from Danny Aaron's fans would be key.
Yeah, you'd see Danny Aaron's doing most videos in a Norwich shirt that has King Kazu on the back. What could be better publicity for this city we live in? Or I live in anyway. Yeah. You
forgot to put the stipulation in though. If you buy, you have to sell the other player. If you sell, you have to buy the other player. You put that in there somewhere else.
Put that further down. Sorry, put it further down. So
to sell Todd Cantwell?
You have to say So it's either.
Oh, that's
Harry
not a problem anyway.
Todd
Cantwell's tripe.
He wanted to go to Bournemouth last year and all that stuff. So that's fair.
It doesn't matter.
My one is: would you want to sell Harry Kane and buy Josh Sargent, or appoint Roy Hodgson as your manager? Now, my response to this is going to be sell Harry Kane. So, the reasoning I'll say that is you have to sign Josh Sargent, but we've already got Richarlison or Son to fill in that spot. So actually, you're just signing Josh Sargent for like a Twix and a can of Coke, sit him in the resis, and you keep Conte as manager, and you still got some depth. You still got Son or Richarlison playing through the middle, and whichever one's not playing through the middle is playing on the left. So, previously, I'd have just bought... I don't think in your case, Mers, Smith Rowe's a bit part player. Signing him for Ravel Morrison, if you truly are invested in Arteta ball, wouldn't be the most criminal thing known to man either. I think the signing one, if your team's got depth, is almost pointless.
I don't think Smith Rowe's a bit part player. I just think he just had a lot of injury problems and still sort of recovering a little bit from that. Because I think he's perfect for that 10 role and where Odegaard is playing at the moment. But I would think drop Odegaard into that slightly deeper to be the more like anchor to play between the defense and the rest of the attack sort of situation and get him forward. And it's sacrificing Xhaka, but even though I'm starting to think Xhaka is a little bit underrated, actually. I think he's a little hot-headed, but watching like All or Nothing can kind of respect him a little bit because he has a passion and he does care a little bit about like the club and the performances and stuff. Like you just have to see his reactions from like when they lose and stuff. But personally, I would not really want to sell Smith Rowe because I think you'd just be good in that number 10 role.
I mean, I get that, but I mean, Xhaka didn't he get a goal and an assist this week as well?
He did.
So he's getting involved, but. We'll move on to one of the next ones, which realistically means we're probably sticking with GH. He's then put in here a hot take, mainly to annoy a different viewer. Sorry, Roman. Mers, you said beforehand that you don't think this is really much of a hot take of Mahrez being better than Bernardo Silva.
Nope. I think
he's justified it by saying, yes, Bernardo Silva's played on the wing before. I mean, yes, well done. He did that for Monaco mainly, and briefly for City in maybe the first season. But mainly he's been a midfielder.
Yeah, I think Mahrez is. I think Mahrez shows up a little bit more in the big games and can be like a little difference maker for City. Yes, okay, he's not necessarily star man because obviously at the end of the day, Man City's team filled with stars with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland now and stuff. But
Bernardo
even
Silva.
with
but that's the thing though. Whilst I agree with that, for me, they are filled with star men. But last year, Bernardo Silva was one of like the star man. Like without that guy, they don't necessarily win the league.
No, Silky Ilky.
Oh yeah, he was brilliant as well. But
yeah, he's more important than Bernardo Silva. Like, I don't think Bernardo Silva realistically has a spot in that team right now. Like, for me, it's like if you go with the midfield,
that's crazy.
It's Rodri, Silky Ilky, Kevin De Bruyne, Tak, Foden, Mahrez, Haaland. That's the way
very much an interesting take.
No,
that's the way I see it.
I disagree on two fronts. Firstly, I think Bernardo Silva is better and more important for Mahrez. Think of how many times Mahrez has screwed up for City.
Yeah, true.
He nearly cost them the league with the penalty miss against Liverpool. He almost feels like the greedy player most of the time in that City team. Especially if you remember his Leicester days, he'd keep a hold of the ball, stay down that right wing, lay in Vardy, but he seems to be the one that takes on the man and holds on to the ball a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Which in a team that moves the ball around, tries to play its way through, he seems like the exception to the rule almost.
Yeah, I agree. I think he looks to cut inside on his left foot for a shot too often, in my opinion.
But then again, you kind of would like to have that sometimes in a team. But the problem is without necessarily watching every single game and probably diving too much into stats. But personally, from what I feel and from just gut feeling and what I have seen, which isn't like the 38 games in the season or anything like that, but from what I see, I personally would say Mahrez, and I'm sticking with it. Mahrez is better than Bernardo Silva, and Bernardo Silva doesn't just has a spot in that team for me.
I'm not saying you're wrong. You're just not right on this occasion.
That's a new favourite phrase of yours, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You've been busting out a bit recently.
Yeah.
But someone who's definitely wrong here is there's a
EA
second
no,
part
mate.
to
That's
this
the end of the day.
question.
EA no. That's all that matters.
There is a second part to this question, and this is,
okay.
or not even, it's a statement. And I don't think either of you saw this bit, but this is straight delusion from GH. And I don't even know it's delusion of. He says Solanke will definitely outscore Mitrovic this season.
Oh, come off it now.
No.
Yep. He didn't say definitely. He says Solanke will outscore him, but it's the same thing.
No.
When that lunch bell went, Mama GH was feeding him some special brownies. That's what was happening.
Come on, that goes straight away. That's
come
such
on
a
now.
reference.
My goodness.
Such an out there reference.
Mitrovic is getting into the double figures, I feel.
Yeah, without a doubt
goals.
he's getting in double figures.
Yeah.
He's got to play Man United yet. Jesus Christ.
So
Twice.
Twice, yeah, twice.
Solanke gets that same opportunity, to be fair.
Yeah, but Mitrovic is a bit more of a quality player. You just have to look. Mitrovic scored more goals than Solanke in the Championship last season.
Mm-hmm.
What hope has he got in the Premier League?
Yeah, that is pure delusion. That is some wacky.
I don't even know where it's delusion from. Like, why would he be delusional in favour of a Bournemouth striker? He's ex-Liverpool.
Nah, I've got it. He's a bit salty because of what happened last week.
Maybe.
What? So you don't back the striker that managed to score 2 against the team you rate highly? Come on now.
I mean, incoming Zaha slander, but
the logic don't make sense, does it? Yeah, that'll be next week's question. Yeah, someone will score more than Zaha. That's fine. Right.
Yeah, why Zaha is the most overrated left winger in the league? Left
Yeah.
forward, sorry, in the league.
Yeah.
We'll go on to a more reasonable one now. This isn't even a hot take at this stage. Those wouldn't all been pretty much hot takes at this point, or silly GH questions. Girk's come in with a question of what is your all-time Premier League 5-a-side team?
Oh, okay.
So, realistically, you're going to be playing in 5-a-side. What, 2 defenders, or 2 midfielders, 1 defender, 1 attacker, and then a goalie?
Yeah, I'll probably say you're playing a 1-2-1, aren't you? Probably.
Yeah, 1-2-1 and a keeper.
Yeah.
So, what are you thinking when you come to your sort of defender? Are you thinking of a no-nonsense player? Are you thinking you want more ball playing? What's your head going to in terms of...
As soon as you said it, for the first defender on my starting sheet there was Vidic in my head.
Mm-hmm.
No nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I'm
was
going
the first player I thought of when we said defender.
I'm going Van Dijk, personally. I feel for, again, sort of similar to like a no-nonsense, but also at the same time somebody that can partially play on the ball as well.
Don't
Yeah,
disagree
I'm
with
trying
that.
to think of someone else. Just someone else at this point. You need someone who's quick, and also gets stuck in. And I just want to be really biased right now with the fact I'm wearing a Spurs shirt. I'm going to say Romero. Sod it. I'm being biased.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right.
You want a hot-headed, stuck in, no nonsense kind of guy.
Right,
who's
so I'm
also
not picking
good-
any
good at
long
the-
haired midfielders or strikers.
Absolutely.
Fellaini, sorry, Fellaini, you don't make the cut.
Didn't he trim his hair like the other year?
Or Andy Carroll.
Prime ponytail grabbing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it'd be no good anyway. You can't play it above the ball above chest height, can you?
Depending on what you play, most 5-a-side I think it's like that, but my 6-a-side isn't. Midfield options. Are you going for more of a silky sort of a pass and move player? Are you going for no nonsense again? Bit somewhere in between.
I'm going for a CDM distributor who won't stop running, and I'm going for a cam, I suppose.
Okay.
My CDM distributor player who's going to give you probably 110% every game is Kante.
Okay.
and specifically designed for five-a-side because he's closer to the ground than any other player in that role.
Mhm.
Who am I going as my cam? Ooh, cams over the years. Come back to me on that one.
Okay.
Damn
Nice.
it. I was going to say Kante, but I don't want to pick somebody that's already been picked because I was just going to say he covers
I've
the
got
ground
mine.
and he'll go from the defending goal to the offensive goal in a blink of an eye because he covers that much ground quickly.
Mhm.
But I think for a midfielder, oh no, it can be considered an attacker. I'm going to say Wayne Rooney as
Okay.
one myself, somebody who can basically be a bit no nonsense, also be able to chip in with the attacking, be a bit creative as well. Now, in terms of, I feel like I'm not going to go with an offensive, defensive player. I'm gonna say Kevin De Bruyne for the perfect passes, basically.
Mhm. That's a perfectly valid
like
one.
that.
My one is not going to be Kante for the holding role. I'm going to go more for pure versatility, Fabinho. So Fabinho's obviously previously played centre back, right back, holding midfield. If say Romero in my team steps up and steps out,
Yeah.
Romero can then drop in. No, Fabinho can then drop in and cover. So more thinking, whilst also being a good ball player and distributor in the same right, and will be able to chase people down, he can also just sit in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for an attacking player, I'm trying to think like historically. I'm trying to think because we've only really mentioned current players outside of Vidic so far.
I've now got
And
my
really-
I've now got my cam, and he is an
Go for it.
older player. It's Cantwell.
Okay.
Yeah. Big Eric, no nonsense again, but yeah, good playmaker, good scorer as well from the cam spot. Yeah.
Then I'm going for another classic I'm going for a classic 2000s player, in terms of almost is a winger. I'm going for a bit of Streets Won't Forget JJ Okocha.
Oh yeah, good shout actually.
A bit of JJ at five-a-side. I think would do an absolutely do a job.
Mm-hmm.
And then for your goal scorer.
I mean, there's only one man I can name. There's only one man that can do this. My beloved Thierry Henry. I can't pick anybody else.
I understand it. I do understand it. He's not my pick, but I do understand that.
I'm trying to think of almost someone to rile up the opposition. And I think when that comes to my mind, and in terms of strikers, there's two that come to mind, and one has
I wonder if one of them's
almost
who
one
I'm
of the
going to
best
choose.
individual seasons of anyone.
Go on.
So I'm going to go... The choice between Zlatan and Suarez, I'm going Suarez.
Wow, that's who was mine. Okay, right. I won't choose Suarez then. I was going to say in those nail-biting decisions, he's someone who you want as a joke. But right, okay. Who am I going to choose other than Suarez? Oh, he just had a couple of such standout seasons though.
If you want Suarez, I've got another one that's not even Zlatan, but for different reasons. So if you want to go Suarez, I can go with Dennis Bergkamp.
Oh, that's a good shout as well. To be fair,
Dennis Bergkamp, the stuff that man could do with the ball was sublime. Like, even as a Spurs fan, I'm wearing a Spurs shirt at the time of recording this, and you almost the elegance that man had with the ball was.
I'm
crazy.
gonna go for someone different. I'm actually gonna go for someone who, unfortunately, got done dirty for his career on FIFA. I'm gonna go for Shearer.
Okay.
Yeah, prime Shearer.
Yeah.
Absolute
I'd go
goal
for Moment
scorer.
Shearer personally.
Yeah, absolute goal scorer. I was considering then Michael Owen, but no, for me, over a span of career, yeah, Shearer.
Okay.
I can't believe we're finishing with the goalie.
Yeah, we are finishing with the goalie here. We're going.
Some respect to those goalkeepers.
Yeah. Now, there's a few good ones down the years.
Mhm. I feel like we're all going to say the same. But yep.
the fact it specifies Premier League.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that kind of makes it only one person in my mind, but we'll see. There's potentially a chat for two.
5 aside, I'm gonna go present. I'm gonna go Alisson.
Okay.
I'm gonna go distribution. I'm gonna go reaction saves. Like, as much as Edison's distribution is great, like Alisson's a better keeper.
Mm-hmm.
So just go with Alisson in that respect.
Mers?
Oh, I mean, thinking about like maybe sweeper keepers and that sort of style of goalkeeper, because they're going to probably have to come out and meet the attack head on, than necessarily trying to make saves. Now, obviously, can't have Neuer, unfortunately, in this situation. So I guess the closest to that is going to be Edison, I guess. Although I would actually like to also potentially give a shout to Dean Henderson, just because of some of the performances that he's had in like recent seasons for like Sheffield United, what he's doing for Nottingham Forest at the moment. He just seems to be like a miracle worker for like bottom half teams.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Carius.
What?
What?
Sorry, what? Hang on.
That's for you, GH.
What?
Okay,
right, let's talk seriously now. So I would toy between 3. I've got Van der Sar, Cech, and Schmeichel in my head.
Okay, someone's on the icon filter.
But originally, like, my first instincts were Peter Schmeichel. I remember that guy just pulling off some like I will never forget the one where he like tipped it onto the bar from like the most impossible angle. It was just one of the best saves I've ever seen. Like how he got down so low to do it, I don't know. So Peter Schmeichel for me.
Okay.
Karius as a sub.
In the same way, I'll have Victor and Ichibi as my backup striker.
Oh,
Okay.
I've got Luke Chadwick as my backup midfield.
I have Ryan Shawcross as my backup defender.
Oh, no nonsense. No nonsense. Injures the players when need be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why do you need? Yeah, just get someone who's going to break legs.
Oh my god!
Christ. Let's go to Venom.
Okay.
Venom's question this week is the best goal you've ever seen. Now, I'm going to take this as seen in person.
Okay.
Rather than best goal you've ever seen, period, the end. I don't know if Venom wanted best goal you've ever seen, period, the end. I guess you have to resubmit that next week. But what would you say is your best personal goal you've ever seen?
Go on, Maz. You go first.
But that didn't actually have to be at the football match.
Yeah.
Scene.
Yes.
I haven't been to a football match, so I guess I can't answer the question.
Damn. Okay, we'll change the rules then. Okay, we'll go for that then. Mers hasn't been to a game. What an Arsenal fan, lads. Not even a Forest Green match. He hasn't even been to a Forest Green match. Bless him.
Have you not even been like to a Sunday league and seen some
I go to rugby matches, not
like
football matches.
Have you not seen some 34-year-old 20-stone guy hit a banger on a Sunday morning?
No.
Come on, though.
The best goal I've ever seen was when I got chipped from 30 yards. Yeah, that's the best one I've seen.
Wow.
That's proper Sunday league. I was on the edge of my box and yeah, they just pinged it from 30 yards and I was like, ah. I still tried and failed, but yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some like proper bangers in Sunday league football. Like,
oh, you always do.
It's different gravy. Like ball just, has been passed around and ricocheted about 40 times, but it just happens to have fallen on the edge of the box from 30 yards and someone's absolutely Van Bastened it in the top corner. You don't expect to see it.
Okay, then best goal you've ever seen, period, the end, ever.
So it's going to be that controversial thing for me. Well, not controversial, but like this will be the obvious answer, even though it's not technically the right answer. It's going to be David Beckham's free kick for England. Like,
yeah,
it's the moment for me. It's not the goal necessarily. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's an incredible free kick, and given the moment and given what it means, it's it is massive. But it's the way it makes you feel. It's that euthanasia.
Oh God, not that again. You are aware what that means, right? It's
Yes,
not
I
what
am
you
aware,
thought
and
it
I'm
was.
joking. No,
It's
but
not
that's
the dogs.
That's the thing.
It's
Like
not the
that.
dogs.
That for me, like, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of incredible goals. Like we could just look at this week, like this weekend's of football. This week of football. Like, did anyone see Sar's goal?
Yes,
in the
from the half. That was last week, but
Like
yeah,
that's incredible. Like from like he's literally like barely even looked up and seen from inside his own half, and like he's hit it like that into chip. Like we talk about that into chip. He's absolutely like he's punched that so hard that keeper ain't getting back to it. There's no run. There's all the scrambling in the world. You ain't getting back to that. And like we've seen like Rooney do things over the years like that. We've seen bicycle kicks, overhead kicks, they're all impressive. But for me, it's how that goal makes you feel at that time, and that was the most incredible moment for me as just a fan of football. Not a club football fan, but a fan of football in general.
Mine's gonna be someone we mentioned in the five-a-side, and it's gonna be Dennis Bergkamp, the Newcastle goal. The control he shows, and just destroys. He ends a career with that touch and that. Like, I'm sounding like a real Arsenal shill right now, but yeah, it actually just sublime. The control, the confidence, the touch, the finish, the everything is just so good that, bias aside, it's a contender, at least a contender.
I think you should take that shirt off.
I'm not gonna. I've not got anything underneath it.
I can send one of my Arsenal shirts your way if you prefer.
Nah, I'm alright, mate.
Get Bergkamp printed on the back first, though.
Nah, let's not do that. Just because I'm a Spurs fan does not mean I can't appreciate.
Yeah, of course, yep. So, Mers, what's the non-real life goal?
Okay, for me, I'm gonna say probably David Beckham's halfway line goal that he scored. Like that probably is the first goal that I've seen from such a distance, and sort of like lingers in the memory and sort of shows the class of the player and his control of ball for like from distances. Like he can pass. He's like good long range passer, renowned for that. Like David Beckham, and I think that's probably how he visualized it. It's just imagining him just like crossing the ball and just going over the goalkeeper, catching him off his line and scoring a nice goal.
Yeah,
and I like he's scored quite a fair few good goals, David Beckham, over the course of his career, but I'd say that's probably the first of his career-defining goals, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
another goal I've reminded myself of is a Harry Kane one. So we've earned the right to put this shirt back on. I didn't take it off in the first place, but is the one against Arsenal where he's got the mask on and he scores from nearly on the sort of he's on the byline and he just curls it in. Do you know what I mean? Well, Mers, I expect you do, but Brad, do you know what I mean?
No.
So there's a goal. It's almost like he's near the byline. He's dribbled towards. He's just inside the box and he's curled it in far corner. I'll send you the one I mean.
Is that because of like what it means to you in the derby, or?
Yeah, if we're going off that, it's more the moment and the derby, but yeah.
For me, like one of the ones that sticks out to me, and it's more because of like, it's funny just how it like tees up towards it, is the Rooney volley, like when he's literally moments beforehand arguing with the referee, and then kind of just turns around and then just smashes a volley and like.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna send you the Harry Kane one now to see what I mean.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, like it's a great goal. Like from there, just hits it with power, curls it far. With power,
yeah,
like, it's a great goal, but yeah, it depends on what you define. It purely depends on what you define as a great goal, whether it be in a rival match with something like that coming out, whether it's a 40-yard screamer, whether it's a free kick. So Roberto Carlos, technically you could say Roberto Carlos's free kick that bends back in, stuff like that. I've seen clips of that. But yeah, I think either the Bergkamp goal or the Kane one are definitely up there for me.
So there's one that arguably is going to be funny because it's technically against the team I support, even though I don't directly support them. Do you remember Papi Cissé's goal against Chelsea?
Oh, the Chelsea one. Yeah. That's a beauty, actually.
From Newcastle, when he was playing at Newcastle, obviously, outside of the foot volley from, like, such a narrow angle.
Was it from a throw-in? Like, throw-in, then shot?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, throw-in, and he just sort of half volleys it, or... yeah, it was just madness.
Some of the goals just mental.
He was a very good striker, to be fair, for Newcastle.
For about 6 months.
Yeah, for 6 months. Yeah. Demba Ba's more the one, I think. But
Demba Ba.
Demba Ba's a name. So the only real ones I can see left is reactions to the Ballon d'Or nominees. Who do you think will win? That's a GH question. It's mainly to capitalise on the fact that Messi did not make the vote for the first time since 2005.
Wow.
So thoughts on Messi missing out, Ronaldo getting in, as well as Seb Haller got in, and a couple other interesting ones that I'm going to have to look up. Who do you see taking home the Ballon d'Or, and why is it Benzema?
Benzema for winning the Champions League.
Simple. Why is it Benzema? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. For his general performance, for the fact that he probably should have been close to getting one before now. Yeah, there's a few reasons to support Benzema. I mean, I get the Ronaldo nominee because, like, Man United would have been in far, far, far dire straits last year if it wasn't for him. But I don't know enough, or I haven't watched enough football for the league and to really comment on Messi not being in. It's only marred in controversy because of his name, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day, if he didn't have a season justifying it, and PSG didn't have a season justifying a reason for him being in there, so is it surprising? Not really, I suppose. But yeah, for me. I'd like it to be Benzema. I'll be very surprised if Benzema doesn't get it, but then we have seen with Lewandowski in the past that it isn't always how it goes.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say the reason why Messi's not in there is Kylian Mbappe. If it wasn't for Kylian Mbappe, he might have made it. He might have done a better job. Because just looking at like the season opener in Liga, and when Mbappe wasn't even in the team, it was just Neymar and Messi. They won 6-0, I believe, with good amount of goal contributions between the two of them. I think there was a stat showing like when Mbappe wasn't there, between them they've got 8 goal contributions so far this season, pre-season and opener, and then Mbappe comes in and it's like, everything changes. And
so do you think they're like they can't work together?
Potentially. I mean, that's the problem with like the PSG side of things. It's like probably way too many big names where it's a situation where it just doesn't gel, and I think that's basically one of the reasons. And I think Messi would have been better if it was just like him and maybe one other big name, but him, Neymar, and Mbappe being in that attack is probably too many cooks spoiling the broth, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that is unfortunate about that there is that like it could have been the perfect like mentor for Mbappe.
Potentially, yeah.
Rather than like almost rival.
But going to why Benzema wins, it's also because the World Cup is in the winter. Let's face it. If it was in the summer, there would have been another contender, whoever would have helped win the World Cup for their team or something like their nation. That would have then caused that sort of like 50-50 sort of situation, but because there was no World Cup, I think, it's just a Benzema.
Yeah. And well, GH, just 2 draws in your first
2 games.
First 2 games for Liverpool, so
It's looking great for me saying they're winning the league, doesn't it?
yeah, same.
Great start.
I said that I even said they were going to win the treble.
I believe you did say that last week. Yes, you definitely said that last week.
Yeah, I must have had some of GH's mum's brownies.
So, the last question I can see here, to make sure I've not missed any. No, that's all of them. So, last question we got is from Girk, and it's more to do with the Chelsea-Tottenham controversy as well as general poor decisions made down the years. Do you think Anthony Taylor should be allowed to referee again? Personally, I think he should, because many referees have had countless bad decisions against certain teams. So this is leading into the conspiracy theory that Chelsea and Anthony Taylor do not mix. Do you think that he should maybe see less refereeing time or anything like that as a result of this game?
Maybe a trip to Specsavers might help.
It's just
Possibly.
I mean, referees make mistakes and everything, but let's not forget the fact that we have got like supposedly the support and information from VAR to help now, and that isn't helping, is it? So come on, we can't just put it all down to one person, despite their history. But
I mean,
there's
this
definitely
is the same referee who didn't give a penalty to Chelsea against Tottenham when Gazaniga's just straight kicked, like flying kicked at that almost, Marcus Alonso. He gave a free kick to Tottenham.
If they're thinking in this and having him in this fixture was that to make amends, then obviously that wasn't the right. But no, I just think that like there's a lot of things to help and support referees now that should be working as well. So let's yes, I agree. Like it's bad, but let's share some of the blame a little bit and just say that generally, even with the introduction of VAR at the moment, refereeing is still a shambles. So, will it ever be fixed with when we're now putting all these things in place to try and stop it from happening? Probably not. There's always going to be some form of human error, but the scale of the errors is what needs to change. Mm-hmm. We talked about, like I said, about the offside thing on the Richarlison, like that to me can't be a consideration, just because it changes the way a football team plays, or it changes a decision in a striker's mind or a midfielder's mind about shooting from outside the box, whereas actually just blatant disregard for violent conduct or for whatever thing, whatever things, it just they're a bit different. They're a bit more high scale decisions, aren't they?
I think the problem is there's not the refereeing standard isn't the best in general.
Nope.
So if he supposedly never reffed again, or if people are calling for that, he'll never ref a Chelsea game again, the standard of refereeing is not that high either way. So
no, it's not going to stop decisions going wrong, is it?
It would just be different people getting scapegoated instead. I'm not saying actually scapegoat's not the right word, but different people will be making mistakes, and it's more we need to make sure the refereeing standards are higher quality.
Yeah. And
maybe even streamline some rules, but that's getting into a whole sort of reform that we don't need to get into right now. I think that's all though for the podcast. That's all the Q&A questions. I don't know if you guys have got a quick fire hot take or question that you want to say.
My slight question to you two, just as fans, and I don't know whether you might need a little bit of time to think about this, so it might be something to ask now and revisit next week. But my question was going to be to you two: if you could, for your team, intercept any transfer that has happened so far from what we've seen, who would it be and why?
So intercept being hijack another team's deal or stop?
Yeah, hijack another team's deal to be your player.
potentially Spurs signing Basuma, maybe.
That's fair.
Because
Yeah.
I'd say that we could do with a decent backup CDM, or potentially even a starting CDM, due to sort of like overshadowing controversy that's going on with that player in our club at the moment. So
Yeah.
it'd be good to have someone like Basuma in the club, or a decent CDM just in case.
I'm just trying to think. Because a player I did want was Kostic, but we've got Perisic instead, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's just a slightly younger version. So I don't know whether to go and say, yeah, Kostic to Juve. I'd say instead of Perisic, get him. But it's free transfer compared to, I think, 9 mil. So it's not the biggest thing. Spurs' issue, and I'm trying to think if there's been someone of that style that has gone that I'd want. So Christian Eriksen comes to mind. Spurs need like a creative midfielder to sort of beat low blocks. I've said this previously. It's why when I've seen we're interested in Zaniolo, I've gone, oh, do you know what? That probably is the right sort of player to go for, but he's not moved. So I'm trying to think of players that would play like an attacking midfield role. And Dybala comes to mind, but he's more possibly wing or flat out striker. So what I desperately want for Tottenham is just that extra option of we can play with an attacking midfielder. So I'll say that, but in terms of who's actually signed for one, I guess Dybala's the closest I can think of at the moment.
That's good. I think that's a fair shout. Yeah.
And Brad, for you, Chelsea? We'll go with Chelsea rather than Norwich.
I'll go with Chelsea, shall I?
Different.
Okay. I mean, the obvious one to say would be Haaland, because Chelsea are definitely lacking strikers at the moment, and I like the fact that they've obviously lost Lukaku now. Werner's gone back to Leipzig. They're desperately looking for a striker. I've heard some different rumours about the potential of Aubameyang. I don't know whether that's a good idea. Just I know like it was an Arsenal thing, or it was certainly an Arteta thing with him like not turning up, and Arteta making that decision to not play him to kind of like sort of show him, I suppose, that he wasn't above not being played if he wasn't going to perform. So, but I think to say like a Haaland seems like a cop out. It seems like an easy thing to say, because Lewandowski moved as well. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the way that Chelsea play, I feel like target man is definitely where they go, and because of his versatility as a target man, but also as a get in behind, Haaland is the easy choice. But they also, I think, could possibly do with another centre back. I know that Koulibaly's obviously been brought in, and he does look good. He's got a couple of little errors in the derby, but don't get me wrong, that was such a high profile game for him to be involved in, that I think once he gets a little bit of experience of, one, how the Premier League works, two, how certain players for Premier League teams work, then I think he'll be very, very good. Who could they have alongside him?
Centre backs that have moved. So De Ligt's moved. You've got Koundé who's moved, and Koundé was heavily linked.
Yeah.
So yeah. Koundé's an option.
I think De Ligt would actually have been. Everything always shocks me about that name when it comes up, because I still can't believe how young the guy is.
What, 22, 23?
Yeah, like, and already, like, did so much for Ajax. Obviously not as much for Juve from what little I know of Juve, but started the league off very well today as a 3-0 win at home to Sassuolo. But yeah, so yeah, I'll go with that. De Ligt to Chelsea, just to solidify their defence if it wasn't going to be the obvious choice of getting Haaland into the squad, because they are desperate for goals this season. I know we've seen, obviously, Sterling been brought in, and Havertz is still a good finisher. He's not a brilliant finisher, but they need that out and out forward. They need that person to dictate what ball they want, when they want it, where they want it, and I'm going to finish it from here.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I on the centre back side of things, I think Sven Botman would have probably been a good option for Chelsea in terms of hijacking. And if you want to talk about forwards, I think Dybala probably would have been a bit more of a better fit than the target man, because target man sort of situation didn't really work out with Lukaku. Haaland wouldn't really fit that bill either, because whoever they would want would have to play with the back against goal.
Yeah, they've just kind of historically done it though, haven't they? With like when you go with Giroud, when you go back to
Drogba.
Yeah. Who else?
Yeah.
There was someone else I was going to... Diego Costa. Like, they've
Presto.
always kind of done that. Like, that kind of strong physical presence of a striker. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that maybe a different option would work, but, like, in more recent times, when their success of winning the league, they did have those strikers in that role.
But the likes of Drogba and Giroud, for instance, suit that more. Well, definitely Giroud anyway. More fits that sort of style of role anyway.
I mean, Haaland would be the one because obviously, like I say, he's more versatile than just being that target man. Like we've seen it already. Like this weekend with him, like he had the thread of a pass from De Bruyne to run through and play off the last man and get acres of space to score, and then he also had the target man hold up the ball and play in Gundogan this weekend to provide him with a goal. So he's got a lot of things about him at the moment, which I think is going to be very, very good for them this year. He's going to be, he's going to give them a lot of options just within one game, not just over the season, but he's like to change the way they want to play in a game if things aren't working. He's going to, I think I can't see anyone other than him being top goal scorer at the moment. And I'm sorry, GH, I know you love your beloved Nunez, but
That was Gurk.
oh, it was Gurk. Sorry, Gurk said that. Yeah, that ain't happening. Well, I mean, it weren't happening before the
by
headbutt.
5 goals.
Yeah, it weren't happening before the headbutt, and I don't think it's happening now, mate.
I'm pretty certain Haaland only. I'm just gonna try and double check this. I'm pretty certain Haaland only had 8 touches of the ball in that Bournemouth game. That's something I remember hearing.
Yeah, so he didn't get his first touch until really late on when he was his. I think
destroyed them.
I think it was his. It
8
was
touches
his.
and 2 passes, but Erling Haaland still took Bournemouth apart.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his first proper touch of the game was the assist to Gundogan. I'm pretty sure that was
which is
it.
mental.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't in the game in terms of touches, but he was he was in terms of dragging defenders and bringing other people into the game just with his movement.
Well, and this is it, isn't
He's
it?
got
Like,
that. That's a different part of his game that doesn't get spoken about much.
No, and we know that that's going to happen naturally because teams are going to come up against them and think, right, we need to stop this guy from being able to play against us. And so they're going to put 2 or 3 men on him. They're going to try and stop him from, like, holding up the ball now because they've seen him do that, even though I think he had, like, 2 or 3 defenders around him during that goal. One pretty much was, like, almost inside him from behind. And, like, he still managed to shrug him off, hold the ball up, wait for Gundogan's run, tap it through ball, lovely. Like, this is what I mean. The more there's going to be a case of he's going to end up providing a lot of the other forwards with space because he's going to have 2 or 3 people on him.
Absolutely. So I think where it's at, we're going to leave it there. Thank you for your questions and thank you for some definitely interesting takes you've had this week.
This one being the t-shirt that I'm wearing, Portuguese t-shirt to support Bernardo Silva, who's better than Mahrez.
But we will see you next week for another episode of the FUT Tiers Podcast. I have been LAJS, that has been B-Rad and Mersgoth, and we will see you next week. Peace out, guys.
Bye-bye.